Welcome to the Delvin Cox Experience, the podcast in which each week I'm on a one-man mission to unite our culture through diversity. I'm your host, Delvin Cox, and this week I have a special guest with me. Let them know who you are, brother.
What's up? It is Mr. Joe B from the NE Podcast.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Living life, loving it. How you doing?
This is a long time coming, man. Doing good.
Was that a rooster I heard, right? Is that on your end?
A rooster?
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that? I'm surprised you got some good hearing. Yeah, my neighbors have a bunch of roosters, and they're very annoying.
Damn, all right. Because I looked out my window like, holy shit, is there something outside? But, damn, all right.
Yeah, they literally make that noise all day. I kid you not.
Dude, that sucks.
Yeah,
damn.
It does. You would think that roosters only make that noise in the morning. No, that's not the case at all.
You can have that in Miami? You can have chickens?
No.
Okay.
These people don't care.
All right.
You can't, but these people don't care.
All right.
You go into certain areas in Miami and you will see all kind of animals. It's like pigs, chickens in the city. They don't care.
Damn.
Yeah. As always, we'd like to start the podcast off with the 5 for 5. 5 questions, 5 answers to get the ball rolling. Joe, are you ready?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm ready. I'm excited for these.
Question number 1. What is the best album you listened to in the past year? Doesn't have to be new, by the way.
Best album? Probably I did back into some old Wu-Tang stuff. Raekwon the Chef. His first album.
Born for Cuban Links.
Yes.
Great album.
Dude, 90s hip-hop is some of the best hip-hop. 90s music, R&B, like hip-hop, some of the best music, at least of my lifetime so far.
I can agree with that. 80s and 90s hip-hop and R&B is phenomenal. Well, yeah. 90s music in general is great because 90s music is kind of like the highs are really high.
Yeah.
In the lows, they may not be as great, but they're kind of catchy.
Yeah.
Like for example, Vanilla Ice. Ice Ice Baby is not a great song, but it's really catchy. So you're like, okay, I can listen to this.
Oh, yeah, that dude is now forever between the hip hop stuff and then his metal run that he did afterwards. Like a name that probably should have disappeared is now forever.
Yeah, literally 20 plus years going strong. Question number 2. This is a different question.
Oh, shit.
Coke or Pepsi?
Dude, depends on what I'm drinking. And even now, like, I don't really drink soda anymore. Like, I'm drinking a LaCroix. That's a new thing. But I don't really drink soda at all. But if I was drinking Captain, I would use Coke. But if I'm drinking Southern Comfort, I'd use Pepsi.
That's a really good answer, and it makes perfect sense.
Pepsi's a little bit sweeter. Coke has that harder bite to go with the spiciness of the Captain Morgan. Not that it was like spicy, but you know what I mean. It's a spiced rum. But the sweetness of the Pepsi went with the Southern Comfort actually really well.
I like that answer. Question number 3. This is everybody's favorite question. What's the dumbest thing you've done as a kid?
Oh, so many. Probably spitting on the electric fence. I guess that's good.
You spit on an electric fence?
Yeah. You know when you have like Kool-Aid or Gatorade and it's all like in your mouth. Like if you spit, you get them long ass strings that hung to it. So yes. I did that, and I still had that string that hit that wire and zapped my brain, knocked me back. I mean, I didn't get hit by lightning or anything, but it hurt. Like it was like definitely a punch in the face. And it makes me wonder, like after all the stupid shit that followed that, learning about the brain stuff now, if maybe that contributed to fucking up some wires. That was the start of it. You know what I mean? But probably not, because I did stupid shit before that too. But that one was pretty dumb.
Yeah, that one. See, that was dumb. But I wouldn't expect that to happen. Like, what are the odds of you spitting on a fence and then your spit hitting the thing, sticking to you, and shocking the hell out of you?
That was pretty dumb. I mean, other than that, light and field, there's a long list. I could marginally in trouble, but not ever. I never got in trouble, but I pushed my limits where it's, next time allegedly I might get in trouble. But starting fires, but no, spitting on that fence fucking hurt.
Yeah, I can imagine. Question number 4. If you can have one dream job, any type of job or career you want it to be, you don't even have to be qualified for it. But if you got the job, you'd be like automatically qualified for it, and you can do the job to a high degree. What would that job be?
I mean, podcasting would be fun, right? Just to do this all the time.
Oh,
just
of course.
Shoot the shit, talk to people. Why not get paid for it? Some of the life meetings and meeting new people, that part was always fun. But if anything, probably like a cartoon animator, like animation. I went to school for a while. Like something I wanted to do. I like drawing and doing all that. But kids came along and then decided to work first. Fuck going to school, which, hindsight is what it is. It was also right around the time where it's moving to the digital age, and I'm not so qualified for that.
Well, that's a really good answer, man. Animation is a cool field to get into, man. When I was young, I used to draw a lot and wanted to get into it. And somebody in my family told me there's no black animators and no black cartoonists. I was probably like 10. Yeah, they told me that. And I was probably like 10. I was probably 10 or 9 when I heard that. So I kind of gave up on it.
Damn. Yeah, they talk about crushing a dream.
Yeah, they
like
straight up murdered my dream. And then I remember this specifically because years later, I want to say I was 14, 15. One of my favorite cartoon shows was Justice League.
There you go.
And one of the creators, writers and stuff on it, like animated stuff on it, was Dwayne McDuffie. You ever heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
Black guy. And he played a big part in making like shows like Static Shock, Justice League.
All the Bruce Timm stuff or whatever is. Yeah, Bruce Timm, right? That's the guy. That
you hit it right on the head.
Yeah, so all that stuff.
He was the African American guy. I'm like, wow.
That could have been me. That could have been you.
Yeah, exactly. And it was cool to see that, especially now. My son, for example, seeing how diverse comic books are now and cartoons are now, it's really cool for him.
Yeah. That's weird that, one different phrase, instead of saying that there is none, change that sentence to you could be the first one, or do that, and then who knows, like you could have taken off in that field.
Yeah, you would be surprised, and not to bash mouth people and things like that, but sometimes people get used to the environment they live in and think that's as far as they can go in terms of how. Okay, the only thing we see around here is butchers and police officers and people going to the military, so you got to pick one of those jobs. When you say something like a cartoonist or a video game designer, people look at that, you can't do that. That's not normal. But now this generation, for better or worse, has been told they can do anything. So they essentially go for their dreams and their goals. Yeah,
but now they're getting a little bit too far. Christ, half these people think they're kittens and shit. You're like cat kin or whatever animal kin. Like they're telling it you can be whatever you want. Open up a whole other side of Pandora's box of people going to extremes. Just the body modifications alone to what people do, and I'm not even talking about tattoos like them horns and beads and everything. Oh, I'm an alligator. You know what I mean?
It's a little weird to say the least. Question number 5, the final question. Zombie apocalypse happens. You can only carry 5 things with you to survive in the world. Your family doesn't count. Your pets don't count. They obviously are going with you. What are the 5 things you're taking to survive with you? And take note. Anything you want. It doesn't have to be something that's in your house. You don't have to be like, I have this old refrigerator I want to take with me. No. Anything you want to take that you can think of just to survive.
Just to survive. For actual survival stuff, like definitely knives and guns. But if I'm taking anything, I would steal Chris Watsky's Zoom that he has.
Okay, he won't be needing that.
No, because he's gonna get eaten. I'm gonna take
Quickly.
that so I can record record my. He moves fast. He's like a lineman. He moves
Yeah.
fast for his size. So I can record my adventures. I gotta have at least a machete
I
or
will
a
say this about Chris.
katana.
Chris isn't gonna die because he doesn't move fast. He's gonna die because as soon as danger comes, Duchess is gonna push him into
Yeah.
a line of danger so they get him first.
That's but at least a katana to cut through stuff and zombies if I have to. I would say a gun, but you're always gonna run out of ammo unless you keep traveling.
Yeah. So
Um,
crossbow instead of a gun.
Crossbow would be good. I mean, just a regular longbow, I guess, if you have to, because that way you could John Rambo and make your own arrows, or Dutch from the Predator. He made arrows, so keep it gully like that. And what's that? 3?
That's 3. Yeah.
A solar panel, so I could always charge my Zoom and keep talking about my adventures and
The Zoom that you got from Chris because he died because Duchess killed him.
and nice toilet paper.
But toilet paper's not gonna last forever.
That's true. That is a good point. But at least starting out. I mean, I don't know how long. I have good ideas of like grandeur, right? I know what I could do, but when it came down to it, I also know that I'm lazy, and I'm like, all right, this is far enough. So I at least want my last dump to be nice and comfortable. Finding, might sit there for a little bit, relax before I knew the end was coming.
That's morbid and makes sense. So what's going on, brother? Let me know about your podcast first and foremost.
Let's see. This is my second show, weirdly enough. The first one ended because I got too involved. So this one is very laid back. We are the NE Podcast, the premier lounge podcast of the Inner Circle Podcast Network. We just kick back, chill. Not that you can see at this angle, but I have a chair next to me that majority of the time my friend Billy, Mr. Billy C, will come kick it with me. We just talk about daily, I don't know, dad life or anything that we saw throughout the week. Maybe something you saw on TV, and then finish it off with headlines where I kind of comb through the news articles to find some interesting ones, some funny ones, some morbid ones. Nothing too mainstream, but at least try to look for ones that you're not going to hear about on your ABC News or whatever you listen to.
Well, let them know what the NE stands for in the NE Podcast.
So it's New England, because we're New England, or also Northeast, because that's also where we're at. And then NE is the play on the words, like it's any podcast, because any podcasts are the same. There's 50 million podcasts, and in your genre, if you're comedy, like it's just slated with huge amount of podcasts. Just pick one. It's all the same. Pick one. They're all good. You like who you like. You don't like who you don't like. But it's how many different ones that I saw, like fantasy football ones. There's so many different sport ones. Some are good, some are bad, some are too on the point. I think our sports is a little more comedic and talk around sports that not just, this isn't the fantasy football Sunday. We talk about sports that they like to do. Actually, in a little while, I have one to do at 8:30. So,
but that's the good thing about podcasting, that it's so diverse, and podcasting, like music, is kind of subjective. So,
yeah,
something where I may like, you may think it's terrible, and something that you may like, I may think it's terrible. But that's the whole unique thing about podcasting, is almost like chess. It's easy to learn, but difficult to master.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that as the more that you get involved in the podcast community, the independent one, not like, you obviously have your big tiers, the celebrities that have one, and some of those are cool to check out and listen to. They're a fun way to get into it, but like the independent ones, like that's like a whole other world. especially as
Yes.
you start to get in and meet each other and like, oh, talk. Hey, what's going on? You want to do this? You want to come on your show? You want to come on my show? Like, uh, it's fun, and that also opens up to like, all right, yeah, let me check out this dude Joe and kicking around like,
Yeah, it's interesting because there's so many different levels to it in terms of how when you're meeting these, because like I said, spoilers, I'm an independent podcaster, but when you're meeting these different podcasters, you're kind of going into a whole different worlds that people don't really even know about in terms of how your podcast is one thing, and then you got Dutch's and Chris's podcast, which is something completely different.
yeah,
And then, you go into these different levels and you start learning about these people that you probably would never know about if it wasn't for podcasting.
yeah.
So let me ask you this. How did podcasting influence and change you for that matter?
It opened me up to actually talking to people, like not just like even before I even knew about podcasting, I kind of stayed to myself a lot. Like I had my certain clique of friends, and that's it. And I'm cool with my camp. Outside of my camp, like I don't really talk to you. Like even if you'd get outsiders here and there at different parties, and it's still like I stay with my clique. I don't need to meet other people. But then we moved to Pennsylvania, so that kind of helped like start it off where I was forced to. There was no support system down there for us. So it's like, all right, well, I gotta know my neighbors and do stuff, make sure that these people aren't psycho and are gonna try to kill me in the middle of the night. But then when we came back and I discovered podcasting, it was like, oh, maybe I could do this. And our first show was structured that it was basically interview based. So we're pulling in different business owners and getting to meet them and talk with them. So it was like, I mean, I was going up to just random strangers, owners of restaurants, and hey, you wanna come on my show and promote your business? Like, so podcasting helped me open up and actually talk to people and meet people outside of my camp.
So let me ask you, how did you even get into podcasting for one thing? Because you seem like you were at one point as such a reserved, quiet person to yourself, kind of. You had your boys over here. Your boys are your boys.
Yep.
Your family's your family. Everybody else can go to hell,
Yeah.
essentially. But how did you get to such an open field like podcasting? Because podcasting is diverse and it's all about personality and learning people and talking.
So when we first moved back, we lived further away from the gym. It was like an hour ride to go to the gym that we wanted. It was a CrossFit gym. CrossFit also helped too. But so we started going there, and on these hour-long rides, I'm like, what am I going to do? So I didn't even know they had apps for it or even like Apple or anything. All I knew about was like Rogan's YouTube shit. So I used to watch or put it on and like listen to it while I drove. And then I started looking for apps like, there's different apps that you can listen to these on. Started downloading his. And then with his, it was different people that he had on. I would start to listen to them. And then the more as some of them would talk about like, oh, yeah, if you want to do something, just start a podcast. Like, maybe I'll start talking to people and just see what happens. And when the guy that I do with now is the same guy I had the old show with. When we first talked about it, it's like, yeah, I think his idea was more what the new show is, what any podcast is what more he envisioned as far as just very laid back. We're just shooting the shit, talking, nothing crazy. With the old show, I was like, nah, if we're going to do this, I want it to be bigger than us. I want to grow this thing. Let's make a business. We'll figure it out. And went head first into just opening up and talk. I like forced to. There was also a camping trip that I went on with the owner of the CrossFit gym that I went to, the owner of the brewery that we go to. This one right here, if you can see it, Abel Ebenezer. Who else is there? The artist that did our original logo for the old show, and just a couple other people that I'd never met before. And we basically went out to this island in the beginning of October, which up in New England, it's cold out. They already pulled the docks from the lakes because it's about to freeze. So we went out to this island. The first night that we were there, we were trying to start this fire, and we had minimal stuff. Like we canoed out there. It was cold. It was raining. This was not a fun time. These guys liked it. I was a little hesitant. Like this is not my
Yeah,
idea of
the
camping.
speed.
Yeah, no, nor what I want to do. A couple of majority of them are in or ex-military, army or navy or marine. Um, and as we're trying to do a fire. This guy's setting up a tent. One kid was setting up a tarp to cover the fire pit so we could get the fire started. And he had used the dock poles from the dock. So the like aluminum, they look like slides, or
Yeah.
like those poles that you would slide down or whatever, filled with cement. So he put one up and it held up one end and went to go get the other end. And when he pushed up, this pole came flying down, cracked him in the head, like opened him up like he needed stitches. They had to roll back, met emergency. Like it was crazy. But after that weekend, I figured that if I could go there, have this interaction with all these fucking different people and talk with them and not, just we're just people, so let's just talk and hang out, then I could do this. So then it was right after that when I approached it with him, like, let's do this and we'll just do it this way and see what happens.
So all it took was somebody to almost die,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
getting hit in the
basically.
head with a pole, and you getting stuck on an island
Oh,
like Enter
dude.
the Dragon.
Oh, dude, it was crazy.
That's pretty cool, man. So, what you think went into the process of making that first podcast? Could you kind of say it was kind of a lot of work in terms of you were kind of building it and you wanted it to be something big and you
So
had grandiose plans for it, but it didn't necessarily pan out because I don't know. You
uh,
explain to me what happened exactly.
so I mean, starting out, you just start out like everybody else, I would assume, right? You buy a little mic here and there. We started with the mics and the mixer, and I had this old piece of crap laptop, and it was just audio, so you're just recording. We use Audacity, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people use, or
Yes.
and then after we did like five, and we're like, all right, we're time to go live with it. We'll figure out how to put it, get a hosting site and put it out there to iTunes and all that crap. Um, so it definitely started off small, but the idea was always there to grow it. And then when we first started out, it was called Off Color Discussions, uh, or OC Discussions or whatever, which is why my Skype name is still the same. And you start to get new equipment. I needed a new computer, and then that was August area of 17 is when we talked about it. 18 is when it kicked off around August, and then we made it. No, that's not right. My times are all fucked up. 16, 17 it started, 18, I don't know.
It's not that important at the time,
No,
but
yeah.
just
But
the undertaking of it because I know when I first started it, I had the same kind of like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna go in there. I got all this stuff. The first episode's gonna load up. Everybody's gonna get into it, and I've told this story before, but I'm gonna tell it really quick. First episode I did blew up. I think it had like 10,000 listens and stuff like that. I'm like, it was only on SoundCloud. I was like, woo, this is it, man. We all balling rolling. The second episode, like 10 listens.
wow, dude, but that's a huge drop.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. That first rush though must have been like, wow, I'm a fucking superstar.
Yeah,
That's
it
awesome,
was
man.
crazy. And it kind of was a kind of reality eye-opening to hit that high and that low in one point in time, like to learn,
Yeah,
like,
dude,
hey,
I've never had 10,000 downloads, so bravo to you, sir. That's amazing.
thank you. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back. They kept calling me like something happened, and nothing happened at all. I'm thinking somebody
Uh,
got murdered or something. They didn't.
uh, gotta love people that call you.
Yes, they called 5 times in a row. I'm like,
Oh,
what
then
the hell is going on? Usually, when somebody calls you 5 times in a row, I'm leaving this in, by the way, because this
yeah.
is absurd. So usually, when people call you 5 times in a row, somebody's either murdered or getting murdered.
Yeah. Huh?
They're not
Damn.
calling you for the Wi-Fi passcode or something stupid like that.
Oh shit. That's funny.
Yeah.
Um. Now
Getting
when
back to
we,
what I was saying. Yeah, I had 10,000 downloads
dude,
the first
that's
episode, 10 the next episode. And yeah,
damn.
the first episode was a interesting topic. And I think it's one that it's not, I don't want to say it like, it incites conversation because it was about God. It was about why does God get hated on and why, and it was kind of a debate between me and my friend.
Yeah,
So it
no,
kind of
that's it.
sparked listeners, but it's interesting how that works out because, like I said, I had that huge high. Like, 10,000 listeners, man. You get that 10,000 and whatnot, and it's like crazy. Then to get the next episode, and it's 10.
Damn.
And then you're like, oh, it's not going to be that easy. Then you get the third episode, and it's like 4. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what is going on? And it's discouraging almost to the point that it makes you want to stop. And I'm telling this story because I think it's important for people to learn what goes on and how the process works, because you may hit those highs and then you may hit those lows and you don't know if you should keep going, because there was times when I was recording it wasn't a Devil Cock Experience, but it was a whole other podcast I was doing before this. And I felt like, damn, man, this is not working. And you kind of have to pivot. You have to learn that it's not an overnight thing. And you have to keep building on that. And that's one of the things I learned from doing it in that whole process and things, because it was difficult. And building it where I have it at today, it kind of makes it worth it because I know the journey I went through to get there. And I'm kind of think you got the kind of same type of story.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't not like that. I probably would have got huge head. Like I've been like, dude, you know how great this is. No, but we took off pretty well. Like I didn't know what to expect as far as like numbers. So like they took off pretty well. I was pumped. Like we were jamming out. And then at a fire one night, a friend's like, oh, let's do a beard competition. And then I'm like, yeah, let's do that. But if we're gonna do it, let's do it for like charity or something. We'll, do it for the show. So we had a big beard competition. Everybody shaved and regrew out, and then did it for Veterans Counts, which helps veterans of any service with their bills. They're a program of Easter Seals. So we did good things, but I put so much work into that show that I neglected my family. So yeah, so I actually almost lost them. Like we almost got divorced last year. It was pretty crazy. So with that, I shut it down real quick because I didn't want to lose them. We figured our problems out, and then after kind of coming back, like, because I even stopped listening to podcasts when all that happened. Like I'm like, nope.
That.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just listening to music. Like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm out. And then,
because I don't know if you remember this, you left for a while.
Yeah, yeah,
a long time.
yeah.
And then you came back and you messaged me. And I almost didn't know who you was because you changed the
name,
the whole
yeah.
Twitter profile and everything. Like, oh. And then I started putting it together. Like, oh, yeah, I remember the podcast and stuff.
Oh. But yeah, so
that had to be hard, man, to go through it, to put so much energy into it, then to almost lose your family. That's
deep. It was kind of weird because even like, so starting off so great on that ride, there was a point probably about the halfway point from the stopping it is numbers started to go down, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Like we went from say over 200, like nothing crazy, but like over 200 per episode down to 30, and it just stayed there at 30. So it's like, oh, my friends are listening, but where's everybody else? But not even my friends. Like, only like some friends, like friends and family. Like I can't get them to listen to this shit at all. Like
Well,
there's
that's
no
no.
support from this kid from my camp or nothing. They're like, nah, fuck that shit. I don't listen to podcasts, bro. Like it's, come on, man. Like you're supposed to be listening to me, not just because it's a podcast, you asshole. But
That's true though.
but you
That's
know what I
how
mean?
it works, man. People. The hardest people to get to listen to your podcast is the people you know.
Yeah, no kidding. Like even my wife's like, maybe I'll check it out. I'm like, come. How do you know what I'm not saying? Like I could be saying some horrible stuff that you would never know, but you could know. I don't, but I just talk about how I'm scared because I have a daughter that is the embodiment of me, which is I know who I am, so I know why it's trouble type of thing. You get it?
Yeah, daughters just scare you in general.
Yeah, yeah.
When you
'Cause
have
they
a daughter, and you responsibility. Because I have a daughter, responsibility of raising a daughter is different because you don't want them to go down that wrong path. Like a guy, and this is not being misogynistic at all, but you can kind of tell a guy like, "Yo, pick yourself off your bootstraps and cinch in and get tough, and
yeah,
you'll be okay." With a daughter
her
is a little different.
and she's into all this fashion and shit. She watches YouTube, bro. Like it's not bad. You could like I almost like have to be comedic about it because it's gonna get dark if I'm not. You know what I mean? Like the way she is like me enough that I know what I did at her age plus some and it was very adult that obviously I shouldn't have been doing at that time. So I have to worry that she's going to, but I don't know. I'm not ready for her at all. She scares me.
Well, that's what happened with all fathers, man.
Yeah.
Raising kids, like I said, especially little girls, man, it terrifies
No,
the heck out of you because it's so much stuff out there that just scares you.
The
Yeah,
boys. Yeah. I mean,
That's,
I already had some kid calling my house one day, and it's like the number would call, and you're like, I don't know that number, so I'm not gonna answer it. And then you get these voicemails, and it was like kids, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. And then eventually it called again. I'm like, I'm answering it. When I answered it, it was like, hey, is Emma there? Like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, is Emma there? Yeah, who's this? This is Austin. I'm in her class. Yeah, man. All right. Like I was thrown off. I didn't know what to do. Like, here. So then they're
I
talking
would
on the
choke the little
phone.
bastard through the phone. I was snapped.
But then they're
like hell, you calling my daughter?
they're talking, and then like he's like, "Oh, go in your room and close the door." So at first, like she did, we didn't hear it, and all of a sudden, door closed. No, you ain't talking to no boy on the phone. Door closed. I don't care that you're 7 years old. Like I don't give a shit. It's crazy. I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
But it's a nightmare. But anyways, back to the podcasting. So that ended for a while, and then listening to shows like yours, Chris and all them, still the Inner Circle, even Bickerbots and the whole NSFW before the transition into Jody's hands, and starting to listen to other shows that are now building in the community that I had already started, because a lot of people had I don't want to say grown, but like grown. Like I knew like the NSFW, which was the Bickerbots, Memoirs, hashtag No Offense, the Shit Happens When You Party Naked, Simmons and More, These Drunk Bees, who I think they're done, Sip and Swear, who they're done. And us. Is that enough? Yeah, there's 8 of us. And then I left, come back, and now it's like a whole new camp of people. These people are gone. We have all these friends now. There's a whole big chat group. Just it's like, all right, so now I gotta learn them a little bit and then incorporate into the new show. But that's also why this show is very laid back.
But that's a good thing, because like I said, they're a good group of people for one thing.
I don't mind them.
No,
I mean they're all there. I mean they're just people. They're doing their thing, whatever they like to do. If you don't, I'm an adult, so kind of like when you're buying cereal. If I don't like that cereal, I'm just not gonna buy that cereal. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to interact with stuff just because it's there.
That is very true.
But it's, yeah. I mean they're all cool people doing their thing and having fun or living life, hopefully loving what they're doing, or it's a good time. I try not to get too far involved anymore.
Yeah, but you're doing your own thing, and I think that's good. And I know that, like you said earlier, you had a problem in terms of getting too much into the podcast to the point where it almost destroyed your family.
Yeah.
So I can kind of imagine you have a little trepidation in terms of recording and getting back into that aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah. Especially as we increase, like being on the Inner Circle podcast network, we have exclusive content. We have the Comedy is Dead, which you were on,
Yes,
the
I was
sports
on.
show, the Slimmer Circle. So now also being a part of those with the new show. I mean, it's hey, I'm gonna get back into podcasting. I'm only gonna be doing this, and then it's like, all right, well now I'm on a network, and now we're doing this. Or now I got this interview on this show and this show. So now it's like, all right, she's fine. She's very supportive of it as long as the days that I'm not podcasting, like there is no podcasting. I put phones away. I might chime in here and there, but phones go down and I'm full attentive to family. We're here for family.
Yeah, I think family is very important to your mental health for one thing. Just even especially when you're doing this podcasting thing, man, just having it where, because honestly speaking, it's almost like a job in terms of how you have to be successful at. You have to constantly be there. You have to constantly push back at it. But at the same time, like you said, it can take so much out of you in terms of having to focus on this podcast and build on that at the same time. Have to take that time out to take care of your family.
Yeah. How'd you get started?
How'd I get started podcasting?
Yeah.
Okay. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts in terms of like Kevin Smith was one of my favorite podcasts. I used to listen to a sports podcast called The Dan Le Batard Show. Yeah. He's big now. He's big everywhere now. But when I used to listen to him, he was like a local Miami show and stuff like that. And now he's kind of like, every time you look at news media, you kind of hear about Dan Le Batard's podcast and his sports shows and things like that. But that's neither here nor there. But Kevin Smith used to always say that if you want to get in the podcast, you should just do it. It's not that hard. And I was kind of at a low point in my life, and I was like, you know what? I needed some structure. I wanted to do something that I think that would kind of leave a lasting impression and leave a legacy for myself and my kids. So I got into podcast. I started podcasting. I got my best friend who does music. I used to do music with. Like, hey, he was like, he's kind of controversial in terms of his hot takes on things and things like that. So hey, let's me and you do a podcast together. So we started doing the Mic Drop podcast, what we call it. And it was called the Mic Drop podcast because I would basically talk to him every week. And he would always say something where it was almost like the record would scratch. And you were like, whoa, where did that come from? And like one of the more well-known episodes that we did was before the original election with Trump. He constantly kept saying it. Once Trump even, not like before, I want to say before anybody said it. Like soon as Trump said, I'm running for office, he was saying, yeah, he's going to win. He's going to win. He was, and like, why do you think he's going to win? He doesn't have any experience. Like, I would always talk to him on the podcast. He doesn't have any experience. Like, he's going to win. People like celebrity. He's going to win. And he's saying stuff that nobody's saying. And he's inciting people that nobody's really reaching. He's going to win it. Sure enough, election, I think we recorded that election night too. Like, dang. He was 100% right. Everything he said would happen, happened.
That's a good name too. Mic Drop?
Yeah. It was, and surprisingly, nobody has it.
Damn.
Yeah. And we, like I said, I was enjoying doing the podcast with him, but it got to the point where his life was just getting so crazy. Every time we looked, he would have, not to his fault or anything like that, just problem after problem would happen to him, and he couldn't do it no more. And it was getting to the point where it was not only affecting the podcast, but it was affecting our friendship in terms of how I would always be ready to record, like, yo, let's do this, let's build this. And then something would come up, and he couldn't record. Then something else would come up, and he couldn't record. and I didn't want him to feel like he was letting me down. And at the same time, I didn't want to sit there and try to force him to podcast because I know he knew how important it was to me. And I think it was important to him too, but he was just so, like I said, he was going through a lot of stuff at the time, and I could not hold that against him at all. Like when I see a lot of stuff that I would, if I was to tell you, like, what in the world? Nobody goes through that. And he was, I'm sure, going through all this type of stuff he was going at one time.
I have a friend like that.
Yeah. I think everybody has a friend like that. Where it's unbelievable stuff they be going through, and you don't believe it until you actually see it for yourself. Yeah, this is crazy. And so he couldn't record no more, so it got to a situation where I still wanted the podcast, but I was all alone. So I kind of felt like I wanted to get this outlet out. So one of the things I kind of thought to myself was I want to do a podcast that's me. That's the personification of me, and that nobody can ever take away from me. Like if you were to look up Delvin Cox, the Delvin Cox experience comes up.
Yeah.
That's the first, second, and third thing that comes up. So I was like, let me do a podcast of like, because like I said, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. And one of the things that I like about Kevin Smith is, and a couple other people like Arsenio Hall and things like that, that they seem so personable. They talk to people, and it doesn't feel like an interview. It feels like a conversation.
Yeah.
So I said, let me do that. Because I'm really good at talking to people and have a conversation with people that doesn't, it's not an interview, it's a conversation. And you just talk, shoot the breeze, and it makes time go by faster. So I started doing that and interviewing people. And I want to say the first year was growing pains and learning how to interview people and on the fly and stuff. And it was fun, but then I started hitting my stride in it and getting really good at it in terms, that's not me bragging or anything like that, but people started wanting to, I'll put it this way, before I would have to like search and beg people to come on the podcast. Yeah. Now it's more like people come to me a lot of times, or if I ask somebody like, woo, people are excited to come on, and that's always good. It's because of the hard work I put in. And I think that building up that name of the Delvin Cox experience, now it means something. I know I'm not Joe Rogan or anything like that, but anything close like that. But there's a certain group of people who hear the Delvin Cox experience. They know that's the podcast I want to listen to. That's the podcast I want to be on. I think that's dope.
That's good. That's dope, dude. What music did you do?
I used to do hip hop.
Did you? Do shows out there?
Yeah, I did a few shows out here. I used to do shows. I used to make beats for rappers and things like that. I used to do a lot of different things with that. It was fun. I used to love doing it, but hip hop is one of those things that you have to be there, especially if you're an artist. You have to go out there and do the shows all the time. You have to do open mics and stuff like that, and you have to be an artist. You have to go out there and pitch yourself to people.
Yeah,
and if you're a dad, you can't really do that.
That's true. I did hip hop for a little while up here. I think the biggest we ever made it was opening up for Capadonna.
Well, that's dope.
Yeah, we got invited to go to New York to go to their studio, and the people that I were with, chicken shitted out, and I went with them versus saying, "Nah, bro, we should go," and go myself. But it got to be too drama filled, if you will, where the producer that I originally had signed up with, we did a lot of good shows. We're making decent money, building an album to put out. And then by the time we finished the album, he moved to Atlanta to go to school. So right by the end of the album, I had linked up with this other kid. He's the one that we opened up for Capadonna with, and his girlfriend or girlfriend at the time, at one show, dude, no lie, they got engaged at the end, which, whatever. I mean, it's cute. Yay, just a little bar show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then by the next month, the next show, dude, they were fighting and like ready to divorce each other. Not that they were married yet, but it was like, I'm done with you. And it's like, I can't be a part of this anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, if I'd never got involved with them, maybe it would have been maybe a little bit different. Really, I should have just taken that trip to New York. So that was one thing too with starting up the podcast originally, was having that outlet of an artist of some sort, like, and being able to put stuff out there and not have to worry about, like you said, like this is mine. I want to be able to do something and not miss an opportunity. That's why
Yeah.
when now if people are like, "Hey, you want to come on?" All right, yeah, man, I'll come on. Like I don't have any problem.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head that podcasting kind of feels that itch that writing records used to feel for me in terms of how every week is almost like an album release.
Yeah.
And I think that's dope that I have this outlet where I can express myself and open myself up for that creativity and give my 2 cents. And I still love writing raps and stuff like that. I don't do it that much anymore now because podcasting takes up so much time in terms of how you want to be consistent and you want to keep making episodes. You want to keep stacking them up so you don't miss a week, because missing a week podcasting is like, it'll kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. I can. But you must have. How, do you number yours?
Yes, I do.
What number are you at? I look for names. That's one thing. I've stopped looking at like numbers of stuff.
I don't know what number this one's going to be yet. Spoilers, but I am right now number 110.
And 10. That's a lot.
Of the Delvin Cox Experience, yeah.
That's a
100
lot.
episodes of Delvin Cox Experience, and that's not including the original podcast, the Mic Drop podcast, I think, which went 30 or 40 episodes. I want to say.
Damn, see, that's even more than I have out now. I think we're just about 20. I think technically we're 20 because we did an audio version of Zero for whatever reason. And then we also did a special fight companion style where I lost my original Netflix original YouTube channel. We got suspended for 90 days because I live streamed the fights out too long. Like we were showing clips here and there. I'd switch back and forth. Yeah. But with people coming in, I got distracted, left it on too long. I'm like, oh shit, let me go put the fights on. Oh crap, it's been on. And I shut it off. And then it was right after that, lost the stream and got pulled for 90 days. So I had to make a new channel for a little bit. But
that sucks.
Wednesday, August, what's that, the 7th? Wednesday, August 7th, we are back on our original channel.
Oh, that's really cool, man. That's awesome.
But yeah, I think we're basically 20 episodes deep of the new show.
Man. I have been recording consistently for, I want to say 2 years now.
Damn, that's a long time.
One of which through a hurricane.
That's ballsy.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I recorded it before the hurricane came, so I didn't miss a week.
Oh, there you go. All right. So I was gonna say if it was like during the actual storm hitting,
no,
power going out and all that crap. How is it with the hurricanes in Miami? Because you guys are basically right at the tip, yeah. For the most part,
we're not directly at the tip, but we're close to it. We're close to it. We don't get it as bad as like the Keys and Homestead and places like that. But when it comes really bad in it.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm used to hurricanes, but worst, I think the best case scenario is a lot of rain and slight wind and darkness. Worst case scenario, you will literally not walk outside. Don't walk outside during a hurricane. That's stupid, by the way. I think the worst thing I've seen is you can look outside and you can see like tornadoes.
Wow.
Spinning around.
On the water and stuff?
Not even on the water, just like in the streets. And they're not, I won't say they're like Wizard of Oz bad tornadoes, but it's like, holy crap, you see stuff spinning around in the air and stuff like that. You see stuff getting destroyed. But I'm talking about worst of worst hurricanes. I'm not talking about like average hurricane. I'm talking about like Andrew or something like that. Yeah.
So for your skyscrapers there, like what do they do for their windows during that? Because if you're in a house, there's a hurricane, people are boarding up their windows. So what do they do with all those buildings?
Most skyscrapers, if I'm correct, have impact-resistant windows. And plus, it's not really that much stuff that you would see that would hit the skyscrapers that much down here, really.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not really that bad. Like, you got debris and stuff, but it's not like you have really countryside areas and things like that where you'd have stuff that'll run into it and stuff like that. Long as people put up most of their stuff, it's not as bad as it is. The worst thing we have to worry about is flooding and our gates and stuff getting destroyed, and the occasional, like, depending on where you stay at, your house can get destroyed and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's not that bad. Unless of course you stay in an area where power lines go down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I've been through all the hurricanes here since Andrew. I want to say Andrew was the worst one. I think, was Katrina that bad down here? I think Katrina was bad, but I want to say I've been through two really bad ones.
Damn. I'm sure you're hoping that they take your neighbor's roosters next time.
Now the roosters are not that bad. I wouldn't have voted at least, but they can be annoying to say the least.
No kidding.
Yeah, man, this has been great, man. Glad to have you on, man. It's been a great time.
Yeah, dude, I had a lot of fun, man. I'll come back anytime. And when sometimes, because as you know, putting out a weekly show can be stressful. I told my Billy, whenever you need the night off, just let me know, and I'll pull in usually a podcaster to come help co-host. So if you're available some night, maybe I'll have you come in.
I'd be glad to do it.
Oh yeah.
Tell them, bro. Let them know where to find your stuff at.
So we are on all the listening platforms. NE Podcast. That's NE as in New England Northeast Podcast. And on YouTube, search either NE Podcast or NE Pod, and you will find either channel. But like I said, August 7th, back on the OG channel to have some fun, have some shenanigans.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And as always, Delvin Cox Experience, we are out. Peace.
Peace.